Ja, välkomna till en ny stream här idag. Torsdag, snart 12:30 på kvällen här på raketstart. Ja, jag hade lite problem med min mjukvara här. Den uppdaterade sig förra gången efter streamen och ja, jag fick installera om allt. Jag hade drivit in alltihopa för att det skulle funka, men nu är vi igång. Lite sent, men det är som det är. 6 minuter kvar till take-off. Ni ser NASA Spaceflights kameror här på skärmen. Jag har ju tyvärr inga egna kameror borta i USA, så att jag får helt enkelt låna, men det ska väl gå bra det med. SpaceX har startat sin stream också. Så att vi kan ju slå på den här, får vi se, istället för NASAs Spaceflights då. Så ska vi se, där har vi den och så lite ljud på där.
Unique to vehicles returning from space. They're kind of a hallmark of reusable systems like our Falcon 9 rocket and Falcon Heavy. General impact to those in the surrounding area is that
kan väl dra lite en recap här, och förra gången gick det inte speciellt bra. De fick köra en scrub, alltså avbryta uppskjutningen. Men ja, inte fått en riktig klarhet i varför, men det berodde någonting på i alla fall att det var ganska många fel, vad jag förstod det som. Men ett av dem var att de hade väldigt lågt tryck ifrån för att kunna starta upp motorerna i alla fall i första skedet, och det lyckades de inte fixa i alla fall. Det var det jag läste mig till. Så vi får väl se om det går bättre nu. Som sagt, första gången de gjorde en scrub överhuvudtaget, SpaceX, så att jag tycker ändå att det är helt okej. Första gången på 7 flights. 8 med denna då.
Keeping an eye on Starship's various systems, including its avionics and those Raptor engines we talked about a little bit earlier. So, Dan and Kate, with 4 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock, let's hit it back to you at Starbase and hopefully watch Starship lift off today.
Thanks so much, Chris. Now, if you're just joining us,
dra på lite ljus här också så
about
det är mörkt.
until the liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship, as we reported earlier. Range and weather are both very green, super green if you will, and
så är det något som ska justeras här i ljud eller liknande, så skriv gärna i chatten så ska jag försöka fixa det. Så vi ser 3 minuter kvar, 3,5, 3:44 typ. Ja.
Once prop load is complete, we got just shy of 1 million pounds of liquid propellant, that's liquid oxygen, liquid methane, onto both vehicles. All of our ground systems will do what's called pushbacks, to clear all those feed lines. We're not continuously replenishing the propellant on board Starship or Super Heavy. That's why we essentially have several minutes where we can hang out at that T-40 hold point before we start to run into issues with temperatures or just those LOX levels are that LOX level on the booster is one of the main things that we
Får
want.
se ifall de kör någon hold idag.
We're also going to do a couple of final checkouts. We'll do one final one of the thrust vector control, the TVCs on the booster. We'll see them hopefully do a little bit of a wiggle test. The first one comes at about 1:40 before launch, and then the last one comes
Ska se
right
så att det är rätt inställt här på den
T-48.
här.
Again, if we need to hold, which we held a couple of times on Monday, we can do so
Så.
at that T-40 We're not
Synd att de inte kör högre upplösning där, men
issues that would hold us there.
det är som det är.
If we do run into that, we can hang out for a couple minutes.
That would be the point in the countdown, as we mentioned on Monday, that T-40 point is where we can pause to hold for final checkouts or pressurizations if necessary. But once we pass that T-40 mark, a number of things are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure. The ship goes to internal power. And after that, the quick disconnect or QD arm lockout, that's removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. Once we pass T-40, as we saw on Monday, we had the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to that T-40 mark and hold there to assess what happened and if we're able to proceed to T0.
And like we said, there we can hang out at T-40 for several minutes before we start running to do some limits essentially on our propellant on board. There are a couple of other things, like if we pass the T-10 point and the water starts to flow in that flame deflector and we scrub, that's automatic scrub for the day. Oh, there's our TVC, our thrust vector control checkout's got a little bit of a wiggle there on those inner Raptor engines, those 13 inner ones, which are going to be used for that boost back burn and the landing burn. So cool to see those.
Yeah. I love that shot. We don't have that on Falcon.
Ska se vad vi får för fräsiga vyer ifrån kamerorna nu den här gången. Det börjar bra förra gången, men ja, det slutar ju lite kvickt då. Och de ska ju återigen försöka att skjuta ut satelliter idag. Om allt går som det ska och skeppet inte exploderar. Se om de stannar nu här på 40 sekunder. Ja, de stannar. Han brukar de göra. Eller ja, brukar men.
Sounds like we're going to be able to reset those holds, not tracking any other holds.
Så, igång igen. Nu ser det ut som det går framåt bättre den här gången.
And the clock is rolling once again. We're now T-30 seconds till the liftoff of the 8th flight of Starship.
Our flight director, Joe Schleicher, today is go for launch. Let's listen in as he takes us through the final seconds of the count.
T-minus 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Det går bra. De lyfter. Det ser bra ut. Alla motorer är igång. Härligt. Ser bra ut. Vad kan se. Jajamän. Någon som filmar en helikopter eller drönare där. Coolt. Ser bra ut.
All right, we're a little over 40 seconds into the flight. We are seeing 33 out of 33 Raptor engines ignited. Boosters pushing us downrange over the Gulf. Next milestone coming up in just under 10 seconds is going to be max Q, that max aerodynamic pressure.
Ser jättefint ut. Bränslenivåerna ser bra ut också.
All right, so we're through max Q. That's the the heaviest stresses it's kind of seeing on the way up. Wow, that was pretty incredible.
I'm still recovering. That was amazing. Beautiful views of the vehicle on ascent, pitching downrange away from the launch tower.
Next thing coming up is hot staging. So we're going to look for 6 engines to ignite on ship while we're still attached to the top of the booster. We'll see all but those 3 center engines shut down on booster.
Se här. Hot staging 02:40.
We're hearing the initial
Yeah.
call that we are go for booster catch back here at the launch tower.
Ska vi se. Down
Coming up
boostern.
now on hot staging, the ship's engines will ignite while still attached to the Super Heavy booster, and also while Super Heavy booster will still be under power itself.
02:32 ska de här om 10 sekunder. Ska de
Sam's holding
stänga
the
av
two
motorerna här då.
together are going to release.
Alla utom 3.
And Starship
Nu.
second stage engines will
Booster engine
ignite.
cut off.
Där ja. Och sen är hot staging.
Ship engine start up.
Där ja. 3 motorer först och sen alla andra. De resterande 3.
Stage separation.
Ser bra ut.
Boost back burn start up.
Såg ut som att inte
we
boostern
go.
hade alla. Nej, 2
Ship
motorer
engines,
saknades
all
bland.
6 Raptors ignited. We're doing that boost back burn. Looks like we got 11 of the 13 that we command for
Go for
that,
booster
so
return.
that's going to start sending the booster back. We are still go for booster return, even with 2 Raptors out during that boost back. We can do a full duration one. But
What?
looks like we got a ship, 6 engines heading into space, and then we got a booster hopefully on our way back to Starbase. How's everything going in Hawthorne, Chris?
Everything is looking good. The crowd eagerly followed that ascent and now watching the booster coming back.
Allt ser
So
bra
as
ut på
you can
skeppet
see on
också
the
just nu.
left-hand side of your screen here, that is ship
Ship avionics
continuing,
power
and that's a
function
great view of
Oh,
ship
en
continuing on
nice
its way
view
to space. They're looking, that's inside
på
the camera,
motorrummet
inside
där.
the aft skirt, looking at the
nice.
Raptor vacuum and the sea level engines. The sea level ones there in the center of your screen under our T+ clock. You can see our boost back.
Där är
We're down
gång.
to 3 engines
Det
on the
syns
boost
inte
back
alls.
burn. And you can see ship on
Ser
the
lite
right-hand
på
side, that's
sea level
telemetry with 6
där med
engines
att
lit,
de kör.
continuing its ascent to orbit already over 100 kilometers in altitude. The booster 87 kilometers in altitude and continuing its trek right now back to the landing site and catch site.
Alla
There's a
motorer
and
avstängda
we
på
just heard a
boostern.
good call out for boost back shutdown. The next thing we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage from the Super Heavy booster. We jettison that because we do not need it for the landing, but on future iterations of the Super Heavy, that hot stage ring will be incorporated into the booster and we will get it back. But for
Ligger
today, you can
lite
see it on the right-hand
efter
side
det
of your
här
screen there, just
schemat, ser ut
separating
som.
off of from the
Där har
right-hand
de
side of the
separerat.
booster. You can also see the booster doing its liquid oxygen dump there, which is exactly what we would expect for it to do as the booster gets itself configured for the landing here. Now, meanwhile, Starship will continue to coast after it reaches orbit for about 40 minutes or so up to an altitude of 214 kilometers, but it's still got a ways to go there, currently accelerating past 7,500 kilometers per hour there in velocity. And just look at those great views of the booster coming back. The Gulf coastline there just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Starship is on a nominal trajectory.
And there we hear nominal trajectories all around. And Dan and Kate, we're at 5 minutes, 15 seconds here into the flight. Everything looking good for the Super Heavy and for Starship today. What's it like there at Starbase as we get ready to catch?
It was incredible, Chris, to be able to see the mock diamonds with my own eyes. That was
Ser bra ut
amazing.
där.
We are standing by for return of booster back to the launch tower. We have heard that we are go for the catch of the booster.
Yeah, this coming from one of our long-range tracking cameras, we're able to see the hot stage separate and fly away. So coming up in just about 30 seconds, we're going to look for the landing burn. We're going to command those 13 inner and middle ring engines to turn on. 13
se
initially
här om
bleed
det-
off all of that velocity as we're
Om
slowing
den
down
tänder alla
for
motorer då,
supersonic
som
speeds,
förra gången.
eventually moding down to only 3 engines for that precision flight into the tower.
Right now, booster using its 4 hypersonic grid fins to help guide itself through this atmospheric entry back for its precision landing at the launch site. Once again, we're going to ignite first the center 13
Se hur det
engines.
ser ut där.
You should see
Oh,
that coming up
ja,
here momentarily.
alla utom en.
Engines in startup.
Se hur det går. Alltså det är lika imponerande när hon är. Snyggt. Det är sjukt. Fortfarande sjukt som tusan där.
Stuck the landing.
Wow. That will never get old.
Nej,
All right.
kommer det inte bli.
We saw 12 out
Kommer
of
aldrig
13
bli.
light for that landing burn.
Nej,
Booster
fränt.
still able to make its way with that final precision burn on the 3 engines in for the tower catch. So booster caught. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on ship. Still got 6 Raptors burning. Those are going to continue for about another minute until we'll get to the Starship engine cutoff. Really cool view. Again, a million shout outs to all of our avionics team who
Payload
make
deployment här
these
ska
cameras
ske
possible for us.
17
That's
minuter,
looking,
inte om 10
right
minuter.
down inside essentially the skirt area of ship where you can see a pretty good view of all 6 Raptors, especially those
nu händer det
3
något
inner
igen.
ones, one of which we're going
Oj,
to
oj,
hopefully
oj,
relay
oj.
a little bit later.
Där går det dåligt.
And we just saw some engines go out. It looks like we are losing attitude control of the ship.
Nej. Ja. Oj, 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 vad det håller på i bränsletankarna. Ja, det här ser inte bra ut.
Ship FTS is saved.
So we're still getting video down from the ship. You can see we've lost several engines and we've lost attitude control of the vehicle.
Det går inte bra alltså.
So we'll continue to
Oj.
stick with it.
For those of you that just recently joined us, we had a successful liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship, followed by a successful stage separation. We saw the booster, actually, you can see it just behind us here. The booster had a successful catch back at the tower. Unfortunately, it seems as though we lost the attitude control of the ship. We are standing by as we listen in with the teams on the nets to understand what information we're able to provide you. We will provide that as soon as we are able, but it's pretty incredible to take a moment and see the booster just behind us. Certainly a different view than last time.
And at this point, we've essentially lost contact with the ship. We're no longer receiving telemetry at this moment. So we were only about 20 seconds away or so from the end of that ship ascent burn. We saw several of the engines start to cut out. Once you lose enough of those center engines, you're going to lose attitude control. And so we did see the ship start to go into a spin. And at this point, we have lost contact with the ship. So we're going to listen in for a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious we're not going to continue the rest of the mission today, but just give us a couple more minutes. We'll bring you more information as it comes in.
Det var inte så lyckat, det trodde jag de hade löst faktiskt. Ja, det är tråkigt att de inte lyckades komma längre än så. den här gången igen. Ja, den lär ju ha exploderat den där också. Jag tänker att vi kommer få se liknande bilder som vi fick förra gången där med debris eller vad man ska säga skräp, rymdskrot genom atmosfären. Se om man kan se någonting här.
All right, so coming back with you real quick. So can confirm we did lose contact with the ship. Unfortunately, this happened last time too, so we've got some practice at this now. We've got a lot of measures in place, like debris response areas where we coordinate very closely with air traffic control. We have a lot of measures put before we ever launch a rocket to make sure that we're keeping the public safe. Those worked last time, and they're actively in work right now. So just to recap real quick, everything we saw, we lifted off right at the top of our window, essentially at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Booster was able to get us all the way up into space, made its way back here. It's sitting on the tower right behind us, our third ever catch. Starship ignited all 6 of its Raptor engines. It was just about 20 or 30 seconds away. We'll get exact times from the end of its ascent burn when we started to see some engines go out on ship. Eventually lost attitude control and then lost contact with the ship shortly after. So obviously a lot to go through, a lot to dig through. We're gonna go right at it. The primary reason we do these flight tests is to learn. We have some more to learn about this vehicle, but we're gonna be right back here in the not too distant future, and we're gonna get a ship to space.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We fly to learn, and we're learning a lot. And as is the case with developmental programs such as the Starship program, progress isn't always linear. So at this point, we're going to close out our webcast for the day. But before we do, we'd like to give a shout out to our viewers, of course, as well as our partners, both here in here in Cameron County and around the world. Now, once we know more about the mission today, we'll provide you with updates on SpaceX.com as well as at SpaceX on X. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Ja, det är väl inte så mycket mer att säga än så. Tråkigt att se, men jag är säker på att de sätter landningen så småningom här. Eller till landningen, att de sätter alla stegen. Men synd att det går bakåt så pass mycket som det gjorde. Men vi tar och avslutar streamen här vi också. Tack för alla som tittade in och streamade, eller ja, och tittade på det här. Glöm inte att subscriba och ha en fin kväll, fin natt. God natt.